I'm going to start the process of going live on Facebook. I'll be back in 20 minutes.
Yeah. You know, Seth, one of these days I want to help you with that.
I don't think you can. I think it's a Facebook Zoom thing.
Both of my AC units went out. The one in the office, I'm dying, and the one in the house. So I got the AC guys here. I have company coming in like in hours.
Don't even talk to me.
You guys still in snow? Oops.
Somebody sounds like they're dying. Is everybody okay?
Don't die.
No dying on our show.
And it's not me this time.
All right, what are we calling this? Unboxing Clickup. Somebody was asking about comparing this side by side with Notion, but I think it'd be better served if we just did a separate one on Notion. Right, Matthew?
Yeah, they're totally different.
I think so, with some overlap, as is often the case with these things. But yeah, they are very different. In fact, Notion kind of came to my attention as an alternative to Evernote. With a lot of task management stuff. All right, unboxing ClickUp. I think we're just about there, just about live.
So did you get a representative from ClickUp to show up?
No. In fact, I got this kind of response basically saying, yeah, no. Because I got the original email when I joined, as I'm sure you all got, that says, hey, I'm your dedicated rep. I'm here for you, right? So I replied to that email and said, hey, by the way, I'm going to do this thing. And I did this with Smartsheet years ago, and somebody joined us, actually, and gave us a walkthrough. This time I got kind of a response that in so many words says, yeah, you're not that important.
Wow. I'm just not that into it.
Yeah, exactly. That was exactly it, Tiffany. I'm just not that into you.
It's not me.
And I almost wanted to reply and say, don't you know who I am?
Oh, world famous nerd.
I'm Seth David, damn it.
Glad you didn't.
All the groupies. Mistake.
Oh, kids today. All right, wait, hold on. I'm still not done, because now that we went live, it takes me back to my news feed where I have to go hunting for the video and share it to the group. I love this.
Matthew, do you have a video about this?
I may have. I think if we looked in QB Community Live, we could check that out. And I might actually be building out a whole course on it as we speak for the last 2 weeks.
All right, call me a skeptic, but I don't believe that what you offer is going to solve this problem. Maybe I need to see it for myself.
Done.
Skeptic.
Exactly. I'm a skeptic and a heretic.
Good morning, Greg.
Oh, that's why I like you, Greg. Good job.
All right, let's see. No, not on a page.
Oh, and share your screen.
Oh.
I'm not ready to share my screen yet.
I'm just telling you.
It was preemptive.
He's doing his job.
Yeah.
I'm working here. You all just talk amongst yourselves.
What is this, Matthew? What is this?
This is the ClickUp phone app that I'm pulling up to where
Yeah, the mobile app is really good. I posted about that yesterday. All right, good morning. We're live. Happy Friday. It's March 15th, 2019. The Ides of March.
Here we go, brah.
Da, da, da.
And your corporate tax returns are due today if you didn't file an extension.
Extensions are due today because we do our own.
I had a client this week ask me if she's filing an extension, does she need to file her taxes today? And I said, no. She's like, so when does the extension due? I'm like, today.
It's in lieu of the return.
Yeah. Yeah, you either file the extension or and then the best part is the next conversation you have to have, which is the one where you have to remind them that doesn't exclude you from paying. You still have to pay, and if you don't pay at least as much as you owe, you're going to be hit with interest and penalties and stuff.
It avoids the failure to file penalty.
Unless you don't make any money.
Right. It avoids the failure to file penalty, as Dennis said. But that's it. You don't get out of paying. And they're like, what? Well, how am I supposed to pay if I haven't done returns yet? Well, you have to do an estimate. It's called an estimate.
Should have been doing that all year long, too, by the way.
Well, it depends. Not if you're an S-Corp necessarily. I mean, if you're an S-Corp, you should just be paying enough salaries so you don't have to worry about it. But that's another story for another day. Another story, another day.
So for all my green screen friends out there and those who wish to join us, check out XSplit Vcam. It's a way to do green screen without the green screen.
Nice. And what's it called again?
Now I tell you that, right? Sorry, Tiffany. XSplit Vcam. They've got a lifetime special on it. Well, it's a $50 purchase. You have to have a good webcam, but you can actually do the background without the green screen. Yeah, I found out after I did mine too, so sorry.
Or you can just get some bamboo shades and put a tripod up behind you to make it look like you're cool and you do video stuff.
Hey, Matthew, can you put a link in the chat?
Yes, I can.
Oh,
I've got my
We
coffee.
can try it out before we have to buy it.
I can't read that. What does it say, Seth?
Oh, it's just Exit Zero Cookhouse. It's one of my clients. It's a restaurant. Exit Zero Cookhouse, and it's no longer in existence. It's now called Exit Zero Filling Station.
It's fixed.
Because in one property, check this out. This is, I think, very clever marketing. He has a gas station and a restaurant and a store. So he put the whole thing under the umbrella of a title called Exit Zero Filling Station, as in you fill your tank, you fill your belly, and you fill your shopping bag.
Nice.
Come on, how clever is that?
That's
He
clever.
had too much time on his hands to think about that.
No, he's very smart. He's building a business, and he was a journalist originally, so he's clever with words. And it's interesting. My Authentic Accountant podcast that's coming out soon that I did finally with Chris Brogan, it's interesting. He talks about journalism and what you learn that's got a lot of sort of real-world application when you have a degree in journalism. Besides just writing, but a big part of it obviously is learning how to be clever, learning how to write, learning how to be clever with your words, learning how to use your words. So Brad Salamanis is watching us live today. He says, I seem to know too much about escorts. Shh, stop it. Stop it. And he says, I'm Seth David, damn it. Who is this crazy man? All right, so if you're posting live on Facebook, I'll check in with you periodically. It's interesting. Very few people post on the feed that I actually share in the group, but I think a lot of people watch it after the fact. So, speaking of Facebook, the good news is we were all able to get into Facebook today, right? Did everybody experience the outage? Was everybody here affected?
Yeah.
I couldn't get on all day, and actually, as a result, I have to thank Facebook. I got more work done. I uninstalled the app from my phone because I'm like, you know what? I can live better without this. And I tried to stay off of Facebook on the web, but I'll tell you what broke it for me is one of our 97 and up members actually pointed out that if it wasn't for Facebook, she wouldn't have known about 97 and up, much less joined it. So when I heard that, I was like, okay, I got to stay on Facebook. Fine.
I actually resorted to LinkedIn.
But I really, well, let me tell you something about LinkedIn. LinkedIn should not be ignored. It should not be deprecated, right? Speaking of using your words, you can all look up the word deprecated.
That's how I found you, LinkedIn.
That's how you found me?
Mm-hmm.
Because of Michelle Long's group, right?
Mm-hmm.
But wasn't it because I posted invites to Google Plus beta?
That was me.
That's how a lot of LinkedIn people found me and then kind of connected with me on Google Plus about 150 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
So Seth, you have to take a breath for a minute, and Greg has to show his cup. He did briefly. I don't think you caught it.
Okay.
Accountant.
Work their asses off.
Assets.
Oh, assets. Why not just say asses?
Because it's not the joke then, man.
Oh.
You know what? This is a real live.
Just a sentence on a mug.
All right, somebody call HR. Speaking of HR, no, I'm kidding. Let's not get sidetracked today.
I got this for one of my clients.
Let's unbox, man. Let's go.
H&R Block. Nice.
That's a gift for you.
You got this for a client, or they got it for you?
No, they handed me their tax return when I was having a meeting.
Oh, I thought it was like an H&R Block book. Like maybe they were trying to tell you something. Like you need to learn how to do taxes. Do you do taxes, Greg?
No, sir.
All
I
right.
hear a little person.
Good. Smart man. I do hear a little person, too. A little mini 97 and upper.
I want to see.
It's a mini Carla.
I think that's Carla.
Could be.
Oh, she muted. Oh.
Oh well.
I can talk like that, Sarah. Would it make you happy?
Please don't.
We like
It would definitely not make me happy.
don't we
Right.
like little people?
Hey. All right. Who wants to see ClickUp? You know what? Forget ClickUp. So ClickUp, I'm sure I've heard of ClickUp before, but I didn't pay much attention to it. Wait, let's listen.
That's Uncle Seth.
I like your comment in the chat, Matthew. I do not have an affiliate key, but you can send me $5 if you want. Buy him, Venmo him $5. Buy him a cup of coffee.
Oh, nice.
Well, you know, Matthew, I'll take you out for coffee anytime you're in Mankato.
I'm gonna fly him out here to fix my surround sound.
Sounds like I'm doing a world tour. Who's next?
You can just go.
There you go, Matthew. Just set up a subscription. People can pay you $5,000 a month, and you'll fly wherever they need you and fix whatever they need.
Me and
I think I already did the GoFundMe thing for airfare, so I don't know if I can do that again.
Yeah. I don't know if they're flying you for a specific benefit, like fixing their computer, or teaching them how to use whatever they're struggling with. I don't know. Could work. It could work.
Sarah, you all right?
Here's Sarah.
Other Sarah.
Yeah, it's broken. The AC guy's here. I'm dying.
Oh, Sarah.
Like, fix it.
You look miserable.
I'm miserable.
Why don't you just run over to Starbucks?
Because she'd sweat even more.
That's funny. Yeah, it's funny. All right, I'm signing into ClickUp. I am not sharing my screen yet intentionally, but I will.
We want to have a music
Yeah.
moment when you reveal it. Whoa!
Here, I'll just turn on my my background music here. Maybe you'll hear it. I've been staying off of Pandora and Spotify lately, and I've been using Google Play just to try something different.
You like it?
I do. It's I don't know what it is, but it feels like they play a better selection. But it always seems to feel that way when you try a new music service. Maybe because they don't know you, so you haven't formed a lot of habits yet with them, so they just kind of play a wider variety. Then as they learn your tastes, and if you don't take the time to tell it every little song that you like, it just kind of makes assumptions, and it seems like it gets narrower and narrower as time goes on.
So what does that say about you?
It says that I'm boring. It says that I'm boring.
You are far from boring. So
Are.
entertained all the time.
Or I'm gonna go work for the Boring Company with Elon Musk.
What a great name, though. I mean,
That is a
literally,
great name.
he's boring under the city. Anybody who doesn't know?
Yeah, boring is a word that refers to digging like under tunnels and stuff.
Not like he's boring, because he's not.
We all get that. Okay, we're smart people here.
Well,
Sometimes it's hard because you go from people who want to know, when do I have to file my extension if I'm not going to do my taxes,
You
to
don't have to then.
people who know, yeah, just don't file, don't pay, don't worry about it. Just go to Disneyland today. You're fine. You're fine. Say hi to Mickey Mouse. Go to the mall. So, ClickUp. So I saw ClickUp, and I'm sure I ignored it a bunch of times because I said, it's just another Asana kind of thing, and I don't really like Asana, so I don't really like ClickUp. And then somebody brought it up, and I don't know what it was or why, but it got my attention this time.
I thought it was Greg.
It might have been Greg. It might have been a few people, but then all of a sudden I started seeing a lot of people chime in on Facebook, for example, saying, oh, yeah, I've been using it for months. And I'm like, why haven't I heard about this? Like, usually people tell me these things. Don't you all know you have to report to me when you change apps about
We're
something?
sorry.
What?
We're sorry.
Okay.
Well, I signed up for a trial, and it was like, yeah, okay. So that now I've been getting all their junk mail. And I mean, every time I'd get an email, I'd go, wow, they're really adding a lot of stuff.
Right.
I'm wanting to look at it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I started looking at it because something about the way somebody described it or something made me think maybe there's more to this. Maybe it's worth checking out, and it's not just another one of these apps.
Well, I like that they have a roadmap where they're actually telling you what they're doing, and they
Actually, most developers, if you check around their website, do have something like that.
Yeah, and if they don't, run.
Yeah, most developers, something you have to usually look for it, but they have it. Like Active Collab, which is the product that I've been using primarily for this kind of stuff. They have, you go to their blog, and there's a part in their blog where it's specifically from their developers explaining to you what's on the roadmap, what they're developing, when they've made changes, why they've made those changes. And it's interesting to know. It's interesting to get that background. Like years ago when I had just started using Active Collab for maybe a few months, they had given it the interface a complete overhaul. And I was like, no, I love the interface. They had some really cool stuff. But then when I started reading the comments from the developers about why they made these drastic changes, I started to understand, first, that it wasn't all about me, unfortunately. Two, that they had very good reasons for making these changes. And I got it. The essential message was that they had built out so many features and so many, so many features to this thing that it was confusing a lot of people. People like me who love to dig deep and get into this kind of stuff, it's great for. But for the more typical user, which is most of their users, it was overwhelming and confusing for people. So they kind of scaled it down and made it a lot simpler. Anyway, so I got into Clickup looking at it, and I'm like, okay, it does look very much Asana-like, which scares me because I've used Asana many times over the years trying it. And what I consistently have found with Asana is that once I start having a lot of projects, Matthew and I were talking about this last night, once I get like 30 projects going in Asana, it becomes very clunky and difficult to navigate and find things. That has been my experience consistently with Asana. Active Collab solved that problem beautifully especially because I love its reporting area where I can easily see an overview of everything that's later due today broken down by project and assignee, and I can cut it up any number of ways. And so Clickup, this is not a pure unboxing. I did take some time and watch a couple of videos on it so I could have some sense of how this works. And these guys have a reporting area too, which looks really slick. One thing that I like, this is like the new thing lately that apps are doing, they have dark mode.
Yes.
I actually like this. It's just easier on the eyes a lot of the time, right?
Developers love that.
Dark mode. Yeah, because they probably usually work in the dark because they're usually up from like midnight till 4 in the morning coding with their coffee and methamphetamines. I'm kidding. Tiffany's like, oh, did he say that out loud? I'm kidding about the methamphetamine part.
Kidding,
Maybe.
not kidding.
Are you, though?
Maybe I'm not. I'm sharing my screen. So, what do we do? So Clickup is broken down, and one of the things I liked about the way they laid it out in their videos is they have terminology they use for certain things because it's just common to this, but not to get too hung up on the terminology. They're just levels of things. So the levels here, first you have teams, right? So I can create teams. So I have a team called Nerd Enterprises. If I go to Spaces All, I can spread this out. I love this because this was working last night and now it's not. Oh, kids today. We have the Nerds Unite space because that's one team. And then I had another team for just Nerd Enterprises, which I can't seem to access now. I don't get it.
Did you put it only under your me?
Oh, you know why? You have to go down here and go to Teams. See? So now here's my team. So Teams is like the highest level, right? So teams would be like you'd set up a team perhaps for your organization, but then if you have a group of people, maybe collaborators, right? Like I know Sarah Prevost works with her friend Rebecca. Rebecca does taxes. Sarah does accounting. They work together on a lot of stuff. So I imagine they have a team for just the two of them, and in that team is where they'll stick all their projects and things. Right, Sarah?
Yes, and she actually uses Clickup, and she's begging me to get on. So.
All right. Well, here you go. Here's your precursor.
Well, yeah. Okay, I'll try it again.
So can you share each other's clients?
Can you share each other's clients? Well, you would have to put them in your team. You would have, you're going to set up projects.
Right.
And so you're going to choose what you put into a team or a space or not.
Hey, Seth, go into Nerd Enterprises, Inc., I think. And then you'd have your projects there, right?
Well, no, this gets you into the team settings. If I want to go to the projects for Nerd Enterprises, then I come back here And now I have Nerd Enterprises HQ. I'm doing a project with QBox by CoralTree right now, so I'm testing this out with them actually, kind of, because they're one of my...
Spaces is your client.
Spaces theoretically, but again, the point was not to get too hung up on what equals what. They're just levels. So you have teams. The next level down are your spaces, right? So then you create a space. So it could be a client. It could be like I've created a space called Nerd Enterprises Inc.'s headquarters, right? So my internal projects might be here. So spaces is just the next level down. And I'm being careful because you're right, Sarah. Absolutely, that's a perfect use case for it. But I want to make this a little bit more generic for everyone so that you just understand it from a very generic, undefined standpoint, because the idea is now you can think in terms of lots of different ways you can apply this and use it, right? So we have teams at the highest level, then spaces. Within each space, you have a project, right? Within each project, you'll have lists. Right, so these are projects. I have Nerd HQ. I have client project. I noticed they have templates and they had a sample bookkeeping project, so I immediately added it because I want to play around and see what their approach is towards this, right? So they have financial statements, payroll. So these are lists within the project, right? And I can zip up the project to clean it up. And I can search, right? So this is what concerns me when I have 30 projects, is this list is going to get a little tough to navigate. This is how Asana is laid out, right? Now, granted, you have the search. They also have another new thing that seems to be very prevalent across a lot of apps is your Ctrl K command is your jump command. I use that all day in Active Collab. I never browse to a project. I use Ctrl K and enter the name of the project because I know what I'm looking for. Here, you don't even need Control. You just hit K, it looked like. Hold on. Yeah, so you just hit K and it says jump to location. Now let me try something. I had the Nerds Unite. So no, it looks like teams are very much separated. No apostrophe. Maybe that was it. No. So the teams are very much separate, like ecosystems, so to speak. They're not connected. I thought they were more connected. And so I'll be honest, I'm not in love. Like to me, up here where it says team, I should be able to navigate between teams. And by the way, I told the lady who I reached out to and invited to join us here today that a lot of times I've found, because I've done this with a lot of apps, that the developers might be very interested in watching how we go through this and like where we get stuck. And this is one place that I think would be valuable feedback for them. Like, why wouldn't they give me the opportunity right here to switch teams, to switch to a different team? I don't like the fact that I have to go all the way over here and click teams. Although the fact that I remember that easily enough kind of tells me that it may not be too bad. But still, it's not that clear because now I'm in the settings. I don't really know for sure that when I back up, I'm now going to be in the Nerds Unite space or your Nerds Unite team, right? So I'm not a big fan of that aspect of the navigation, but I'm not going to get too hung up on it.
Well,
So
what if you dropped it down a level?
Dropped what down a little?
A level and put your Nerds Unite and your Nerd whatever.
Well, no, so I could
That's
certainly make that a space instead of a team, but that's not my point. My point is understanding the structure of how this whole program is laid out, right? So yes, of course, from a more practical standpoint, if I'm frustrated because I can't access that so easily, yeah, I would just make that a space instead of a separate team. But I think the point is that the teams are very much separate things. And they may be, because if I remember correctly, Asana has something like this concept where it also becomes a separate billing unit. So if you upgrade, it may be that you're paying per team, something to check into to be sure. Right? Which means that if you don't want to pay for two teams, fine, then you just use one team and you create your projects and lists accordingly. Right? Now, speaking of, let me go back to the basic structure. So again, we have teams, then spaces, then projects, and then lists, right? So each project has a list. We have different views. So normally we're in the list view. Now, some of you who know my Active Collab process, my HQ project or my main kind of project list is just where I track at a high level different things I need to work on. So it might be, notice I started playing with it here. Right, so this is a client. I have to do an equity reconciliation for them, and this is a client that I have a project I'm working on. So in this context, I like the board view because the board view allows me to say, hey, this is no longer Wednesday's project. Now I'm going to work on it today, so I just drag it over to Friday. right? So, and this is how I manage things at a high level, because then I get to Friday, I'm like, oh, I'm working on Nikki group. Great. I'm going to go into the Nikki group project now. And the Nikki group project is where I'll have all the information about what I need to do for them today, right? So it's just my way of, it's my kind of workflow, right? How I track what I'm going to work on what day, right? Because I tend to be very structured that way with my schedule. On a certain day, I'm going to work on a certain client, right? And then, like I said, in that client's project, I track all of the detailed things that I need to do for that client.
Is a task a list?
No, a list will contain tasks within it.
Oh.
Right? So right now, I'm in the Nerd HQ project. I'm in a list called main high-level tasks, right? And then, so that's the list. And then Nikki group here is a task. So if I click in it, this is where I can fill in all the details. I can put in a description. Over here on the right is the activity feed. So if I write a comment, it's there.
Can they attach documents?
Not only can you attach documents, you can embed pictures and videos. You can do anything you can imagine that you would ever want to do with a task in this app, you can do. It's amazing that way.
And Seth, you can also, if you click the ellipses.
The what's an ellipses? I'm stupid.
Dot, dot, dot.
I failed geometry.
Dot, dot, dot.
Dot, dot, dot.
Nope, the other dot, dot, dot.
Up.
Above that.
Up, yeah.
Right.
Click,
So yeah.
click on that and click on that envelope.
By the way, I just call this the more menu.
Click on that envelope.
So you can add comments. You can send an email. So you have an email address specific to this task where you can send comments. Right? Which is really cool because
Right.
now you can really focus on a task, but also pay attention to the other choices here. I can easily convert to a subtask. Right? That I find comes in handy a lot. A lot of times I find, and I get frustrated with other applications because most of them don't have this kind of functionality. They don't make it easy to convert a task into a subtask or a subtask out to a task. In fact, most of them have the second part down pretty well, where they make it easy to convert a subtask into its own task. But to convert a task into a subtask, you don't see a lot, actually. You have custom fields you can define when you're setting up your space. You have a series of options to go through. Go through it slowly. There's going to be these other click somethings. They're little apps that you can include. Just turn them all on. I did. It was my instinct to do that. And in the video that I watched, the guy even says, I just turn them all on because that's the kind of guy that I am. You know, like, why not? If you don't need it, then you won't use it. But why restrict yourself from having access to something that might be useful, right? Now, another thing that I learned, and this took me a minute, was when I'm trying to add somebody. Let's say I want to assign this task to somebody. Now, Matthew's in here, right? So I can assign this task to Matthew.
Is he a guest or part of a team?
I've got him in as a guest, but good question. So if I want to look at that, and this is really what I want to point out. When you share something, right, and that's the term that's used here, is sharing. I just shared that task with Matthew, right? The way that works is you can share at every level. So I can share at the project level. I can go into the project, and I can choose share, right? And I can click in here, and I can find people. So I can type, there's Chris Wise from QBox. I don't see Matthew in here, and maybe because it's already shared with him. But if I put somebody else, what I'm trying to get at is just inviting somebody down here, which is what I did initially. Initially, I sent an invite to Matthew. I couldn't add him to a task. Right? Just inviting him here wasn't sufficient. What I had to do after I invited him once he accepted was then I had to come in and share the project with him. Right? And I think what's happened is this whole space, I may have him in this whole space. Let me do something else real quick. If I go into Nerds Unite.
You can add me.
All right, I'm going to add you, Greg, into Nerds Unite. All right, so here we have a sample project. Let's go into the Nerds Unite space. All right, so I'm going to invite Greg. Greg at the numbers guy. Is it the numbers guy?
The numbers guy. .biz.
Don't you have to invite by email?
Oh, thank you. I was in the wrong box. I do that a lot. If I want to make him an admin, I can choose that right here. for now I'm going to invite. Okay, and I guess it recognizes him because he's already got an account.
Yep.
Right? Invite sent. So Greg, go ahead and accept that. So I've invited him.
It just popped up on my ClickUp. Trust me, it's a pop-up. I was going to share my screen, but it says join the Nerds Unite team on ClickUp. It's a big old pop-up. Yes, join. So I'm clicking yes.
Okay.
Now I'm in there, and I can see the Nerds Unite space.
Okay. So can you see the project, Get to Know ClickUp?
Get to Know ClickUp, and then I see the list.
All right, and then you see the list just called list. And by the way, you can rename this. You go to edit, which is there, which is rename, little pencil icon. We'll call it the list. Just so it's clear it's something different, right? So now we're in the Nerds Unite space, right? Which is also in the Nerds Unite team. And then we're in the Get to Know ClickUp project, and we're in the list, right? Now, if I want to add Greg to this task is open and ready to go, I can click in here now and choose him because he was added at the team level, right? But let's say I want to add Sarah to just this task. From within the task, I can choose share. Okay, and then I can type here a name or an email to invite. So Sarah, where are you? Mintage Labs? Sarah at mintagelabs.com.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me go to my ClickUp.
Okay, go to your ClickUp. Now, notice here, once I've added her here, it defaults her to a guest, right? And then here's the level of access she has. So in a free account, you have so many that you can give, create, and full access to on a free account. But there is a limit to this, and it'll let you know when you've reached it. But it's a lot. From what I saw, it's like 235 people you can do this with. But once you have a paid account, I believe it's unlimited from what I saw in the video. Okay. Of course, I can also change her access here to can view, can comment, or can edit. But the only choice on a free account is create and edit full, which means on a free account, I will simply be limited as to how many people I can sort of share with. Okay. But by doing this, Sarah is going to have access only to this task. She won't be able to see the whole space. She won't be able to see the whole project. She will only be able to participate in this one task.
Can you then now click on a whole bunch of tasks instead of doing it one at a...
No, I imagine the better way to deal with that is to create a list and put tasks in that list and share the list with her. Because remember, there's sharing capabilities at each level. So here's the list here. And so you'll find there's a share option at each level, and whichever level you've shared at is the level that they'll have access to. So if I share with her at the list level, she'll have access to everything in that list. So Sarah, can you confirm what you can see now that you're in?
Yeah, I just reset my password, so 1 second. Because I forgot it.
Now, of course, I can click on her down here also, and that will give me a look at anything that's assigned to her, which is pretty cool. And that's the other thing. The filtering here is really cool. Right? While she's doing that, I'll jump back over and show you a cool example of how I've already played around with the filters a bit. So I'm going to go back into my Nerd Enterprises team. And so remember how in this list or in this project, I use the board view a lot. But as I'm scanning days, like here's Friday, you know, it's a very wide scroll here. So the way I've got this laid out, if I just want to focus on the days that are in proximity to Friday, I'm going to go to my filter here, right? And I want to filter, no, this is the filter I think I want. Or this one, sorry, the status is how it lays out the boards. I'm just learning this myself, so bear with me. So I'm gonna unselect the things I don't want to see, right? So I only want to see, I want to see Friday. I want to make sure I don't have anything lingering in Thursday, and I want to see Saturday and Sunday, right? So it's very easy to filter on the status. This filter is for all the other things you might want to filter by, like assignee or date and so on and so forth.
Can you see all past due tasks in one place? Do you know?
I'm sorry?
Can you see everything that's past due?
Yeah, you can see, again, the filtering you can go crazy with. So you can see however you want to cut this up, you can see it. And like I said, there's a whole reporting area. So if you're going to get into this, take the time to watch the videos that they have because they show you how to do all this stuff, right? You've got to do that with something like this. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult.
Do you see they have a good tool to actually work with clients in? I know you use other apps because I'm currently using Client Hub, and this just seems nicer looking.
Well, as you know, Laura, from being in 97 and up, I have a different tool that I use when I'm collaborating with clients. So this is not something I would use to collaborate with clients on. This is something I would use internally at Nerd Enterprises to just track who's doing what on which project. With the clients, I use Smartsheet.
In our 97 and up group, though, in our Slack, I did share a YouTube video that I stumbled on last night, and it's called Using It with Sales Teams or something like that. But it walks you through a basic CRM kind of functionality, but I can envision this being something that can be tweaked to be kind of your client hub sort of thing where you can store passwords and tax returns and all of this sort of thing.
Oh, for sure. I mean, look, you could. That's the point. That's the beauty of this is you can set this up to use it any way you like. Right.
Yeah, I'm thinking more for communications of, what they have to do for me.
Right. Questions and things
Use
like
Lissia
that.
for that.
What? Let's share.
See, and again, for that, I would defer to Slack for sure. I wouldn't even suggest Lissia, even with what we saw in 97 and up on Lissia yesterday, and it did look really cool, especially for a tax practice. But for the bigger picture, higher level communications, I would still say Slack is the best tool for that. Right, Lissia looks like it's really good for more drilled down communications around specific things, right? Like, hey, I need these documents from you so I can get your returns completed kind of stuff.
Do you have to put a date on all these tasks?
No, I don't have a date on this one.
Okay.
Right? There's no date here whatsoever, but I can.
You put the Friday flag on it at some level.
Yeah.
This is just my structure and how I'm using the statuses to lay out on a timeline what I'm going to work on and when. Again, this is me very much customizing how I'm using this. It's not really the way this is designed to use. Greg, you mentioned the CRM, right? So let me show you a use case like that, right? So let's up in projects. I'm going to add a new project. And actually, let's go back to Nerds Unite so that.
So Seth, under projects, go to zooming up in 97 and up.
Well, hold on. Let me go back into Nerds Unite. And then where did you see zooming up in 97 and up?
You were just in the Nerds HQ because that's where you had me before. So I created that's what I was doing right now. So click on that.
Okay. Yeah, so this is how the statuses are really sort of meant to be used, right? The way Matthew's got it here.
Okay.
But
right? It's a status. I just chose to change it.
That was funny.
What?
It's a cool ClickUp and give them a piece of my mind.
Why?
One of the tabs.
I created this while you guys were talking through my phone. So
Right.
Okay, so you can even change up your definition of a status.
Yeah, you can do custom statuses when you're setting up the projects.
And is that project by project or the whole ClickUp?
You can set you can set your statuses at the space level, I believe, even as the standards, and you can use custom ones or you can use standards, but then at any level below that you can sort of override that and set up your own statuses. So that's what I did in my Nerd HQ is I defined my own statuses as in open as they force on you and closed they force on you, because open is where it's going to show you anything that you haven't assigned a status to, and closed means I've checked it off as having been finished. And so they don't let you sort of exclude those.
They do if you set it up as custom as opposed to the other one.
I did custom and it would not let me remove these.
Huh.
Yeah.
So
not in mine. Okay.
The way you did this is perfect because this is what I was starting to do the other day.
I can't really see that clearly. What is it?
Well, it's just a sheet of paper with Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday
right
written out, and I was going to identify which clients I was going to be doing on which days.
Yeah.
And I can just do that way, and that's beautiful.
So here's a new project, right? And notice here it has task statuses. So here's where I can choose, regardless of what I might have set up for this space or for the team, I can still go in here and choose custom, right? So Tiffany, look, it won't even let me remove open or closed. There's no in progress I can get rid of, but open or closed, it says required. It will not let me change that. So I'm going to remove this here because now if I want to set this up and start using, I want to create a project where I'm going to use this as a CRM, right? So the first status is going to be there a lead. Then I might have call scheduled, right? Then call done, follow up, right? And then I might put hot, cold, closed, lost. Oops, went too fast. Oh, that's funny. It's a different idea of what closed means. Closed lead, I'll call it. And then lost, meaning we lost the deal. Okay, and done. So that's how you can customize your statuses. And if you want to edit the statuses you've already customized, like I did, like I had these here, edit project statuses. So you do it right here. It's at the project level, not the list level. So it should be here too, same thing, edit project statuses. So here's where I defined all my days of the week and did it like this. So the cool thing is they give you a lot of flexibility here because a lot of apps like this, once you choose to go a certain way, you're stuck with it, right? But here you can go a certain way and then you can change it all day long. It doesn't matter. They give you a lot of flexibility there, right? Now where the hell did my CRM go? Maybe I need to refresh. I did create that project and complete it, didn't I?
You wouldn't necessarily have your clients in here with you, though. Like,
well, again, that's your choice. You might create a space where you have a space for each client and have the client in that space with you, right? Or create a space for the client. I wouldn't have the client in at the space level. I might create a space for the client and then invite the client into certain projects, right? Because that way, within that client space, I can have the internal stuff that I don't necessarily want to discuss with the client versus the stuff that I do. One of the reasons, though, that I've often said I'd like to have a separate project management app is to minimize the risk of putting something in front of the client that I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
So a little side note, I've been, at least through my phone, been trying to figure out a way to add Greg into the zooming up in 97 and up, but I can't find him at all.
Thank you for bringing that up. So this is what I wanted to point out earlier. So if I go in here and I want to add Greg, and you can add multiple people to a task, which is pretty cool. He's not here. So what I would have to do, if I wanted him at the project level, is I would go right back up here to the project, zooming up to 97 and up, and I would go share, and then I can try typing him in here to see if he's in. If not, I would have to type him in here and send him an invite. I invited him in the Nerds Unite space. He's not here in the Nerd Enterprises. That's why.
So as we'd expect, good separation between them, right? So
yeah. So I'll invite Greg into here. Again, as I'm inviting him, it lets me confirm what I want to give him access to. I can make him a member. I can make him a guest. And then invite, and now Greg's invited in.
And now it just popped up on my screen.
Yep. Yeah, so it's not the spaces, but the teams are very much separate.
Towards the end of this, I can share how it looks on my phone also if you wish.
Sure.
So it also, you invited me to that project. It was the project level, right?
Yep.
But nothing has been shared with me. So I've got a blank slate here.
Okay, so but you should be able to see if you're in the project. You should be able to see the list and all the tasks. No.
No, because
They haven't assigned to it yet, but I'll fix that.
So you have to assign each task.
Well, no. Again, if we've shared the project with him, he should be able to see everything that's in that project. Especially if we've given him that status. He's got create, edit, and full access here.
Let me do a refresh.
Oh no, but you're not actually invited here. So let me actually click invite now. See, and this part I did find was a little tricky with this, is
Now
getting somebody actually in. So Greg, now you should be able to see everything.
Yep.
So first you have to invite him. Once he's accepted the invite, then you can share a project or a task or whatever it is with him. Right? And I don't know why, because I invited him right from the project level. So I don't know why he didn't just get right in there. Or Matthew, did you invite him separately from me somehow elsewhere? No. So I don't know. Yeah, that part I feel like is a little clunky.
What am I supposed to view when I sign in? Because I just get the calendar.
So what did I share with you again? Which space or project?
I'm in the...
I think I just shared a task with you, didn't I?
There's no task. I'm in the... Where do I find the name? Nerds Unite. That's where I'm at.
All right, so you're in Nerds Unite. So let me switch over to that. Okay, I can just click there to switch teams. That's what it is. When you click up here, your teams are up here. So probably important to put like a logo or whatever in your team so it's easy to distinguish.
Just have two different shades of green. Not
I
very.
was going to ask you about branding or colors or anything to.
Yeah, no, you can add all that stuff in. Notice like I've got my little logo in there. When you're setting up ClickUp, it's going to invite you to attach your profile image and whatever. And so, yeah, all this stuff is pretty customizable.
And how he has the new task button in the upper right, he has that in blue, mine's in green.
Right, so here in the team settings, I can change the colors. Can I do a different like icon there, I wonder?
I must have done dark mode a long time ago or something. I'm like, why am I in dark
Click
mode?
on the icon. So.
Yeah,
Tried that.
I probably did it.
Oh, add a custom avatar. So either choose a color or add a custom avatar. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Nice.
All right, so now let's find you, Sarah. So I would think if I clicked on you here, there would be a way. Initially, it just filters like the whole list based on whatever you've been assigned. But I would think there would be a way to get into.
Click in the drop down. You can click in the drop down up beside your name, and then there's users, and then it shows you the list of the users.
So up here is where I get into the users list. So again, I would think that just from a user interface standpoint, I should be able to click on her here to access her settings. So if I go here and I go to users, right? Also another problem that I see. If I click straight into users, it should take me straight into the users part of the settings. I don't know if you noticed, but it took me here to the top level.
Yeah. On settings.
Let's try that again. No, I didn't. When I go here and I go to users, okay, that time it worked.
Did you clicked on settings before?
It takes it a second. I mean, it's got to go to space and back, right?
I could swear I clicked on users and it took me to the top level.
That's what I thought too. Yeah, I saw that.
All right, so here's Sarah. So now I can, first of all, she's in here as a guest. I can make her a full member. Let's do that.
I'm jealous. It's always Greg, Sarah, Matthew.
Come on, Laura. Get in here. Jump on, girl.
All right, Laura, what's your email?
Okay.
Wait, Laura. Didn't Laura complain about ClickUp and Facebook?
I think she did.
As soon as you did that, I didn't change anything on my screen. I'm just resting on it. And the logo switched, and I got a whole task list now. So I went from like a 0 count, because mine just sits on a calendar when I log in for you. And it just like gave me the unscheduled tasks, and I have a task today I have to do for you.
I also have a task that has popped up on my phone that Matthew Bolton has assigned me to tell Seth to share his screen.
Yeah, and I got an email notification about that.
I don't want any part of that business.
Seth, do you have the Slack and Zapier integration turned on? Is that why you have those little bubbles on there?
I do have those integrations turned on, yes.
Okay.
And those remain there until you complete configuring them, or you can X them off of your screen as well. I think.
Right. Oh, another cool thing I saw in the video. I'm glad you mentioned that. It reminded me of something completely different.
That never happens on this.
So let's say I'm here in this task, and I'm done with it for now, but I know I need to come back to it. You can click this little icon, minimize task, and so it just closes it to the bottom of your screen. So if you have a bunch of different things you're working on, you can just minimize them to the bottom of the screen so that they're here at close reach wherever you go, and they're easy to click back into. Right? That's a really cool feature that I learned when I watched their little video.
Seth, have you played around with the recurring elements at all yet?
I have not, but I saw it. When you go into the task, there is definitely an option to repeat the task, right? And you have all your kind of normal, and you can repeat on a schedule or repeat on a trigger, right? So, and I like trigger better because on a schedule, I end up with 60 copies of the task because I forgot to click that it was done. So I definitely prefer the trigger that when it's closed, then schedule the next one.
And that's exactly why you need to have the open and closed status.
Yeah, I would just like to be able to define my own versions of those. That's all.
Well, sometimes I want to start the new group before I finish the other group.
Then you would pick the schedule. I just find that doing it on a schedule makes me crazy. Again, these are personal choices, right? Because I end up with 6 copies of the task, and that just it sends my OCD through the roof.
Yeah,
and I want to start.
How behind I am.
Can you click on the every blank? Can we do year or quarter even?
You can do year. You cannot do quarter.
Wouldn't
But you can probably do every 3 months.
3 months.
Yeah.
So that already makes this better than ActiveCloud.
Shh, blasphemy.
I gotta say, this has been a pretty cool unboxing by just like the interaction with everything else. I think it's pretty neat.
Yeah. No, I mean, so far I love what I see. Now it's just a question. So somebody asked a really good question on Facebook this week when we were talking about this. Somebody asked it specifically of me, like, with all my systems and processes, how am I going to like switch this all over? And my answer, very simply, is one project at a time.
Yep, that's what I'm going to be doing today, is getting one of my new clients into this and see how I like it before I start sharing it with.
I did an import from Asna. Everything came over but the reoccurring. I have to reset that up.
Yeah, which in my case, that's almost everything I do is recurring anyway.
I almost like the idea of just rebuilding from scratch in a new platform anyway, rather than importing. It's like it's kind of like the same reason I like starting a new QuickBooks company for a client every so often, because I get to start from a clean slate and kind of build it on a fresh canvas, so to speak, and improve upon whatever I had made a mess of in the previous versions, right?
Same reason every 6 months I reformat my computer.
Yep.
Yeah. So I imported from Trello because that's what I use. And it did my reoccurrings, and it was a clean. When I did this months ago, it came in nicely.
On one of their landing pages, they kind of map out the different applications they will import from and what parts of different apps match to their parts of the apps.
By the way, another cool view on this, the cube view, shows you by user who's got what going on.
Yeah. You can also import just straight from a CSV. So if whatever you're using right now, maybe it's GQs, if you can export your tasks to your projects to a CSV, then you can suck them right in.
I just have to see if my mom likes to use this because she looked at it and said no. So
you tell her she has no choice. You say, listen, you tater tot.
I know, right?
You do what I say.
She saw it and she said, too much. I want to go to my Trello board. I said, okay, we'll do your Trello board. We're going to stay in there and I'll play around until I can teach her.
Seth, can we see pricing?
The pricing is like ridiculous.
Like
$5 a month?
Yeah, it's crazy. So let's see. Let's go to, where's billing? Or there's billing. Blah, blah, blah. $5 a month, unlimited. It's $5 per user per month, right? Unlimited storage, advanced reporting, Google Drive and Dropbox, unlimited custom fields, unlimited goals, 5 guests plus 2 per extra seat. You can set permissions, guest visibility. For $9 per month, 10 guests plus 5 per extra seat, 2-factor authentication, Google single sign-on. Okay, and then for $17 a month, single sign-on, HIPAA compliance, contract and legal review. Interesting. If you need changes to any agreements, then an enterprise plan is required. And increased API limits. Good to know. If we wanted to pay monthly, it's actually a lot more. That's a big penalty for paying monthly.
Mm-hmm.
Per user. Mm-hmm.
But who cares? What's 17 times 12? It's like around 200. A little more for the year. Just pay the 200 for a year. Don't be cheap.
Yeah, and it'll take care of other apps. You could get rid of other things.
Yes.
Seth, real quickly, Alexia had asked a question in the chat asking about this compared to like Notion. So because I've played with both, really, I think they're two totally different applications.
Yeah.
I actually do like the idea, as she was saying in her question, which was the ability to
build a wiki.
Build a wiki, right? That's exactly what I'm using it for. Is we're actually going to do it to create our standard operating procedures for each of our clients, because we can export it to a PDF and then save it in something else. It's just a nice structure way to play with stuff.
Right.
But to me, it's more of a note-taking concept.
Yeah, well, it's got a lot of task-like features in Notion. So I think the best way I can sum it up in terms of describing the difference between Notion versus something like this is these two things have different focal points. Notion's focal point is on the note-taking aspect of it, and there's task stuff, kind of like Evernote. Here, the focal point is on the task stuff, but there's actually a really cool notepad in here, by the way.
The notepad is pretty crazy. You could be on a call with a client and then
just bang out a note, and then later on add it to a task, right? So call with Greg, right? Enter. Simple WYSIWYG editor, right? And then one of these has to be to add it to a task. I can go full screen, and then here's convert to a task.
Yeah, there you go.
That's cool.
Yep.
We just got a like from Hector.
Oh, you know what? I haven't checked the Facebook feed at all. But yeah, this is really cool because this I get all the time. I get on the phone with somebody. I need to create a note on the fly is what I always call it. And I've been using OneNote for that. And OneNote makes it really easy to do because OneNote I just have open all day. But if this is where I'm going to be managing all this stuff, then boom, I want to just be able to create this note right here on the fly. I can do some formatting because a lot of times I'll make bullet points because I'm listing things as I'm discussing things with the client or the prospect. And yeah, so I absolutely love this feature. And what's cool is, Matthew, we can even put some HTML code in here if we wanted to.
Yep. So you can really start embedding other things, URLs, and sky becomes the limit with that. There's so many different apps nowadays that allow you to embed whatever you're doing into something else. It starts making the connections.
And there's also a Chrome extension for this that you could be sitting in your Gmail and be able to just take a note on that screen.
Yep, I always forget how to get into
I always forget, but it's
more
tools. There it is, extensions.
Yeah, but you can't search that way.
Yeah.
You can only search what you have.
Oh, that's stupid. Well, then, you know what? Just Google the freaking thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you click on the apps at the far left side on your toolbar there, it would pop up and you'd go and be able to search it.
Oh, here in apps? Where's the search here?
Oh, I thought that goes to the store. Web store.
No, just Google it.
Just Google.
Google what?
Much easier. And that, my friends, is how a bill becomes a law. Or something.
I'm only a bill on Capitol Hill.
Wow, we still have a lot of people here that stuck it out for the whole hour. Impressive.
It's enthralling.
Impressive. Enthralling, did you say?
It is. It's another grammar word that we're adding to our 96.
Another big boy panties word.
One.
All right, so now I got to kick you all out of my Nerd Enterprises project.
Okay.
So I can actually start using it for real. But you're all welcome to be in the Nerds Unite team space project thing. Something.
Is that where we're taking over the world?
I don't know about taking over the world. You know, maybe like a corner of the world.
Yeah, we used to have that as a goal, you and I.
Taking over the world.
Set up. Yep.
That was a very Ren and Stimpy-esque.
That's very Pinky in the Brain, actually.
Brain.
Pinky in the Brain. Okay, fair enough.
Oh my.
Okay.
All right. I like it.
Okay.
But then we're all going to start fighting over who's Pinky and who's the Brain, and that's going to be a whole mess.
We already know Gina's the Brain.
Okay.
Wait.
Thanks for the walkthrough. Looking forward to seeing to using this. So I'd love to hear feedback, Kristen. If once everybody starts using it, let me know what you're experiencing with it, what you like, what you don't like, what you get stuck on. And of course, just as a reminder and a shameless plug, 97 and Up is where we talk about this stuff twice a week, every week for an hour at a time, and then all week long in Slack. So it's a great place to have fun with us and actually learn how to use these productivity tools in very specific use cases. So you can say, hey, here's my situation, blah, blah, blah. And then Matthew will always answer your questions. He's great. He answers everyone's questions.
I just sit there all day watching it.
That's all he does.
He even gives you dating advice.
So next time we're going to pick on Laura, so Laura can be the tester for everything. Laura,
Fine.
you signed up.
Now I get practice at how to kick users out of a project. So when I fire a client, I'll know what to do if I have clients in here. All right. Anyway, on that note, I got to run because I got to clear up my desk here in my home office because I have somebody coming to assemble my brand new home office desk that I purchased on Amazon, which Amazon did a really smart thing and sent me an email saying, we can send somebody to your house to assemble this. And I immediately said yes because I suck at that kind of stuff. So I paid the $125 or whatever it is, and somebody's going to assemble the desk and the chair for me. And so by the end of, later today, I'm going to have a brand new desk and chair to work at, and I can't wait.
And you'll have to share with us.
No, I'm not sharing a thing.
Results.
Not sharing a thing. You know me. I never share anything.
No, you're pretty doggone selfish.
I'm pretty closed that way.
Speaking of sharing, Gina, what's going on with your show today?
What are we doing?
We have Licio. Am I saying it right, Sarah?
Yeah.
Licio.
Licio and Chris Farrell coming.
You have Chris Farrell coming?
Yes.
With Licio. Yep.
Oh, I was thinking of a different Chris Farrell.
Farley? Were you thinking of Farley?
Chris Farley. Yeah, we have Chris Farley coming on to demonstrate Licio. That would be awesome.
Link to that?
Just join SBAA on Facebook.
Laura, you're on the Facebook. You're on it.
If you can get into Facebook today, just join her group.
Go on Bookface and then figure it out.
Bookface, yes.
Laura, you're already in there because I was going to invite you and then I saw that. SBAA.
Pages.
Who's speaking?
I'm just checking the comments here.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Off to
Sarah,
play
get your
the
AC
later. Oh, I can't go at 5.